Hello, welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video. I'm Jamie. That's David.
We talked about this just a second ago.
Yeah.
I had no script for this.
I told you what we were going to be doing.
All right.
The goal eventually is to have this as kind of like a lifestyle channel, but right now our lifestyle pretty much revolves around IVF and our infertility treatment. So we're going to start by focusing on that. There's a good chance that I'm pregnant right now, so stick around for the end of this video because we are going to take a pregnancy test and see if we can get 2 lines today. We'll start, I guess, by talking a little bit about our relationship and when and how we met, which was what year?
2004.
We met in middle school. So I'm 32, David's 33, about to turn 34. And yeah, we met in middle school. We started dating officially freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So,
February.
Mm-hmm. Aside from a breakup in college, which was what, about...
There was a few along the way.
But those were like maybe a few weeks or a month. The long one was like 8 months. That was the longest we were apart. August.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You text me on my birthday. Mm-hmm. Because that was your idea to do that.
Oh, to break up with you? Yeah. No, that was me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was in 2011. So since... It was, yeah. So since then, we've been together.
Happily.
Very happily.
That's right.
We moved in together in 2013. January of 2013. The next year, summer of 2014, we got engaged. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the summer of 2014. We got engaged. But I went to grad school, so we waited until that was over before we got married. So we didn't even get married until 2018. Mm-hmm. It was October of 2018.
What day?
The 20th.
Yes.
October 20th is our anniversary that I remember every year.
Uh-huh.
So then about a year into marriage, almost exactly a year, because it was like September of 2019, we decided that we wanted to start trying for a baby. And we were still in an apartment at that time.
Yeah.
We were just like, whatever. At that point, it felt like a house still felt very out of reach. Mm-hmm. So we were like, if we wait till we have a house, then we're never going to have a child. Yeah. I'd say we tried for a few months. It was just like we were not trying.
I don't know how detailed we want to get here, but I remember the very first time.
Oh God, what are you going to say? David, no, we're not going to talk about that. Right. Oh my God. Anyway, and then it didn't happen, so the next few months is when I started tracking. Like, I downloaded that app, started tracking everything, started at-home ovulation tests, and can you hear Keem? Can you go get his mouse from him? Did you put it back up there?
Yeah, put it up top.
Okay. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we were about a year into trying on our own when I scheduled an appointment. I think it was about a year in. Mm-hmm. My doctor was great. She immediately ordered all of the testing, blood work. I had an ultrasound. I had an HSG, which is a hysterosalpingogram, where they insert a catheter through your cervix, inject dye into your fallopian tubes, and then take an x-ray, basically, to make sure that your fallopian tubes are open.
That was when you passed out?
Yeah, I passed out at the end of it, just very briefly. But that was like during COVID, so David couldn't come in with me. And when I came out, he was in the car. I walked out with like a juice box and some Teddy Grahams, I think.
How'd it go? That was good. I passed out. What?
All of the testing that I've had done, that was by far the most uncomfortable. I don't know too if it was just because it was at the beginning of everything and I wasn't really used to it. I don't know. But she also ordered a test for David, so they tested his sperm. Everything came back normal. Like my progesterone was slightly low, so she put me on like 200 milligrams to start taking after ovulation. We tried that, but it wasn't happening. So then she put me on Clomid, and we did 4 medicated cycles on Clomid, and we actually did get pregnant on 1 cycle, and that was in
June of 21.
Yeah, June of 2021.
Yeah.
That we did get pregnant, but we miscarried early, around 6 weeks. So that was by far, I mean, one of the hardest things that we've gone through.
Mm-hmm. At the time, it was probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then we just kind of decided to chill for a little bit after that.
Yeah.
Like if I remember right, we took several months off. Also,
went to Vegas?
We did go to Vegas.
That was sick.
Yeah. One of the shittiest things about trying to conceive when it's not happening is that it just like obliterates your sex life too. People will say, at least you have fun trying. It's not fun. Mm-hmm. It's not fun after a while at all.
It's like an appointment.
Yeah. Like
almost.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's how it felt.
I mean, you were still doing the ovulation test for a while, and it was just like we knew when it was coming, kind of thing. And it was just like we knew we had to do it.
Yeah.
Those days.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like, I mean, we had a lot of sex.
Yeah, but most of it wasn't good.
All right. We're going to put that on the internet, huh?
If we're being honest. But no, it was terrible. It was really bad.
Wow.
I do mean the actual act, but just in terms of like our relationship, it was hard. I feel like we have a really solid relationship. Like the actual trying to conceive, the infertility-ness of it all, like that's never really tested our relationship. At least I don't feel like it has. Like we've never fought over anything but it was definitely like the intimate part of our relationship was affected.
Yeah.
For sure.
For everything that we've gone through, I feel like we've been very supportive of each other when we feel like it's somehow like my fault or your fault. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you would handle something like this well, but I feel like for the most part we've navigated pretty well.
Yeah. You can see how if you were not on solid ground, it would be tough.
Oh, yeah.
Like really tough.
Yeah.
And not that it hasn't been hard, but I mean in terms of like you and me, I don't think we're lucky in that regard, at least.
We're lucky we like each other a whole lot.
Yeah. So that puts us into like 2022, and then that's when we kind of started exploring other options. That's when my OB basically said like, she would just refer us on to the RE or reproductive endocrinologist. So we're really lucky to have a fertility clinic within like an hour's drive of us. And so we scheduled a consultation, but it was booked out like 4 months, remember? I mean, just like...
Yeah, it took forever.
It took forever to get that appointment. And then after we had our first consultation, I went into a little bit of... denial because we ended up not moving forward. At the time, she said... she would just recommend moving forward with IVF because we talked about like IUI and other options, but she didn't seem all that confident that would yield any better results than what we were currently doing. So, but it was really scary for me, I think, to accept that, and it took some time. Like the financial part of it too. I mean, it's really freaking expensive. And
almost felt like a last gasp of like, this could be the last shot that we have, which was, at least for me, kind of like terrifying. Even though it gave us hope, which we didn't have for a while, it was still like, oh, this is it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying because I felt that way too. Like we always had IVF to fall back on, and so then it was like,
what do we fall back on now?
If this doesn't work. Yeah. I think that was a lot of it.
Well, I think it plays to our personalities too, where it's like we need to have plan A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Like, what's the plan after this?
We are both major planners, so. But eventually we came around to the idea and accepted it. I think we tried on our own again for about 6 months, and it just gets really monotonous and depressing, and you just kind of come to expect bad news, I guess, and that got to a point where it wasn't sustainable anymore. So then we pulled the trigger and started. That was in January of this year, 2023, wasn't it? Or was it February? Was it later than that?
Yeah, it was probably earlier this year, but it feels like we've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it's been a long time. I feel like, I don't know.
Well, they did some like repeat testing, like blood testing. They retested David. We had to do genetic testing.
I lost my blood.
They didn't lose your blood. You didn't sign the consent form. You checked the box that said I do not consent.
I changed that though.
Okay, well, it was too late because then the company did go out of business. So then you would have had to redraw blood.
Well,
anyway,
that's not my fault.
So there was a lot of repeat stuff that we had to do because it had been a while since I'd had blood work and since they tested you and everything. So they did that. And then in February, we started our retrieval cycle, the end of February.
Yeah.
And so that's where we did the injections. I responded really well. And at the retrieval, which was March 14th, we got 33 eggs, which is great. 26 were mature, and of those 26, we got 12 embryos. So we opted to do the genetic testing, and all 12 of our embryos came back normal, which was amazing. So there's a lot of waiting throughout this whole process, just like we're waiting right now. I think that's like something that I didn't really prepare myself for. Was
it's like a lot of build up to one event, and even if it's only like waiting for a blood test or something like that, and it's like 48 hours or something like that, but it feels like a month.
Yeah.
And like this has only been technically 10 days, but even that feels like a half a year. And that's why my timelines are so messed up.
Yeah.
It always feels like way longer.
Feels like a long time. So it was like basically 2 months between the retrieval and transfer. So my transfer was on Monday afternoon. They transferred one embryo. We don't know what the sex was. We just said pick the healthiest one. And then now it's Saturday. So we're on day 5 after our first embryo transfer. I don't go in for my blood test until Wednesday. So it's still early, and I did take a test this morning and it was negative, which I'm trying not to think about too much. But I'd say this whole week I haven't felt super optimistic. I don't know what it is. David is Mr. Optimism over here, but until today though, like even though I had a negative test this morning, like all of a sudden today I'm kind of feeling like twingy, something, like I feel like something's happening. But I mean, it's really easy for me to symptom spot too, so that could be what's going on.
I mean, I don't think I'm Mr. Optimistic.
You've been more optimistic than me.
I will say I'm relying heavily on what doctors say.
Yeah, me too.
And so I feel like when I go into that mode, that's more almost like a survival mode for me. And so like now that we have somebody where it's like that I trust, and I'm like, okay, they know best what's going on. Like I don't care if you get 14 negative tests, because you're probably going to take at least 14 of them by the time Wednesday hits. But like I won't believe it either way until we go in
The blood test.
Wednesday and see what happens.
And the scary part too, especially in like if you've gone through something similar, if you've experienced a pregnancy loss, like a positive pregnancy test doesn't necessarily mean anything either. Like, as exciting as it is, there's also almost like a fear.
So even if Thursday is just like, yeah, everything looks great. Like, we've talked about this before. It's gonna be hard for me to be like, to take a deep breath until that thing's like, I can see it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
no, that's how I feel too. Maybe we'll get to a point where we're able to
actually enjoy
it.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine, it sucks to say.
Yeah, it's a shit feeling.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to make some dinner. I'm eating Whole30. David's eating kind of Whole30. So I'm going to pee on a stick, and then we're going to do our injections. We have 2 injections to do tonight. And then we're going to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned.
Shrimp tacos.
I'm going to cut that out. All right. I'm about to take a test. I took one at 4 o'clock this morning. It was negative. That was about 14 hours ago. It's still pretty early. We're 5 days post-transfer, but I just cannot help myself. So I'm going to pee on this stick. We're going to do our shots, and then we're going to look at it together. Now we wait. All right, we're ready?
21 first.
Let's do estrogen first.
Where it is.
I mean, you'll probably find this side's not really that sore, so just, I guess, go as close as you can to the spots.
This one always takes forever to go.
Is that one thicker than the progesterone?
It must be, because this is very slow.
Can you see the spot that's bleeding?
Yep.
Just don't put it right there. Ready? I'll bring it in here. I'm gonna look at it.
Okay.
Even if it's a faint line, that's still a positive.
Okay.
And if it's 2 lines, we would expect it to be faint just because we're so early.
Okay.
So,
It's still early, right?
Still early. No matter what this says, we're going to be fine because it's early.
Yeah.
Okay?
Not too high, not too low.
Okay.
I see it. Yeah. Wait, right?
Yeah.
Good job, Sally.
There's 2 lines. I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
I just want to keep looking at it.
Doing good. Little guy or gal.
Gal. Oh, man. All right. It's good. I'll be staring at this for the rest of the day, probably.